Every great dream begins quietly, not in bustling cities or on brightly lit stages, but in places where hope has to work a little harder just to survive. In a small village, surrounded by dusty roads and endless fields, a dream was born that refused to break, no matter how heavy life became. This is the story of a place where people owned very little, but believed deeply, where failure was common but surrender was rare. It's a story about how our environment shapes our character, how struggle builds our strength, and how a single dream, nurtured by a village's resilience, can grow powerful enough to change a life. When the world seems too big and your circumstances feel too small, stories like this remind us that greatness doesn't come from where you start, it comes from what you refuse to give up. The village was tucked far away from highways and opportunities, hidden between hills that caught the sunrise and fields that swallowed the sunset. The houses were simple, made of brick and tin, with cracks that told stories of harsh seasons and even harder years. Electricity was unreliable, water had to be carried, and a deep silence ruled the nights. Life here followed the rhythm of the land. People woke before dawn, worked until their bodies protested, and rested only when darkness forced them to stop. Dreams weren't openly encouraged, not because they were seen as wrong, but because survival always came first. Yet, within this village, something stronger than hardship existed: belief. Elders spoke of the dignity found in labor. Parents taught their children the value of persistence. Even in scarcity, there was pride. And from this very soil, one unbreakable dream quietly took root. That dream belonged to Daniel, a boy who grew up watching his parents work endlessly just to keep food on the table. He saw the exhaustion in their eyes, but he also saw their determination. They never complained. They never quit. That lesson stayed with him. School was difficult. Resources were few, teachers were overworked, and expectations were low. Many believed that the children from the village would just grow up to repeat the same cycle: work the land, earn little, and dream even less. Daniel felt that weight pressing down on him every single day. He studied under a dim light late at night, fighting off sleep after long days of helping his family. Some days, hunger made it impossible to concentrate. Other days, doubt would whisper in his ear that all his effort was pointless. When others laughed at his ambition, he learned just how painful dreaming could be. Failure visited often. He failed exams. Opportunities slipped away. Each setback felt like another piece of proof that the village was right, that dreams were luxuries meant for other people. But something inside Daniel refused to let go. Even when everything around him suggested he should quit, he held on. As Daniel grew older, the questions in his mind grew louder. Why do some people rise while others remain stuck? Is success only for those who are born lucky? Or is there something more, something unseen that truly shapes a life? He began searching for answers wherever he could find them. In old books borrowed from his teachers. In stories shared by travelers who were just passing through the village. In conversations with elders who had lived long enough to understand regret. And one message kept repeating itself in different forms: your circumstances can delay you, but they don't have to decide your future. Daniel realized that waiting for permission or for the perfect conditions was just a trap. No one was coming to rescue him. Growth would have to begin right where he stood, with what he had. The village itself became his teacher. He learned resilience from the farmers who kept planting seeds, even after a failed harvest. He learned patience from the mothers who sacrificed silently for their children. He learned faith from the people who believed tomorrow could be better, even when today was incredibly hard. A turning point came quietly, without any applause or celebration. Daniel earned a small opportunity, a chance to study further in a nearby town. It wasn't glamorous, and it certainly wasn't a guarantee of success. But it was a door. And fear followed him. Leaving the village meant risking failure far from home. It meant carrying the weight of expectations, responsibility, and even guilt. What if he failed? What if he disappointed everyone who believed in him? The night before he left, the whole village gathered to wish him well. They offered simple blessings, quiet prayers, and words filled with genuine hope. In that moment, Daniel understood something powerful. His dream was no longer just his own. It now carried the strength of an entire village. When he took his first step away from home, it felt heavy, but it also felt right. That single step marked the moment when dreaming finally turned into action. Life outside the village was even harder than Daniel had imagined. The competition was fierce, resources were still limited, and failure returned again and again. But this time it didn't defeat him. He learned that success isn't built on talent alone, but on discipline, on consistency, and on the willingness to keep going when no one is watching. He learned that confidence grows from surviving difficult days, not from avoiding them. And the most important lesson of all revealed itself slowly. Strength isn't inherited through wealth, but through values. The village had raised him with resilience, with humility, and with persistence. Those qualities became his greatest advantage. He stopped measuring his progress by his speed and started measuring it by his direction. He realized that even the smallest steps forward mattered. Years passed. Daniel grew not just in his skills, but in his character. He learned to stand tall in unfamiliar places without ever forgetting where he came from. He earned respect not by pretending to be someone else, but by honoring his roots. When he finally returned to the village, he wasn't a symbol of instant success. He was proof of possibility. The children looked at him differently, not as someone special, but as someone real who had dared to try. The village itself hadn't changed much physically. The roads were still rough. The homes were still simple. But something else had shifted. Hope felt closer. Dreams felt less forbidden. Daniel understood then that his greatest achievement wasn't his personal success. It was breaking a mental barrier for others. Every village, every neighborhood, every difficult beginning hides an unbreakable dream just waiting to be claimed. Your environment may test you. Your circumstances may slow you down, but they do not define your limits. If you come from a small place with big challenges, remember this story. Growth begins when you refuse to accept the story that others have written for you. It continues when you take responsibility for your own future, even when the path is completely uncertain. Carry your roots with pride. Let your struggle shape your strength. And never, ever forget, the size of your beginning has absolutely nothing to do with the power of your dream. If this story inspired you, take one step today, no matter how small it seems, toward the life that you imagine. That is how unbreakable dreams are raised. Thanks for watching. If this message resonated with you, please subscribe for more stories like this one.